Hey, I'm Matt. I got 2 reviews in one video for you today, and this is the dust collection review and air filtration review. I purchased this Laguna Flux 1 dust collector from my shop. What I was doing is show you the delivery, the setup, and my initial impressions. Then a month later, I'll review this dust collector and tell you how it's performing up to this point. Then after that, I'll walk you through the Laguna CleanAir filtration system that I picked up also, because I needed to filter the air in here and I'll be breathing in all that harmful dust. And then I'll give you my final thoughts. Full disclosure, Laguna and I have reached an agreement on, I got a discount for purchasing these items in exchange for the video. However, this is the ones I picked for my shop. I reached out to Laguna and said, I want that dust collector, I want that air filtration system, and then we worked out a deal. If you follow the channel, you know that I haven't had dust collection. I've used a shop vac for several years, and it's just time to get dust collection in here. So my dust collector showed up on UPS freight truck. You can see him backing up the truck right here. The only thing is, during the day of his deliveries, his lift gate quit working, so we actually had to unbox it on top of the truck, but I still got it in parts and pieces. We're gonna assemble that now. So I unpacked all the parts and pieces to this dust collector. As you can see, it was a bunch. It all looks nice. It's got nice powder coating on it. It looks high quality. I like the fact that they did label all the packages so I know where all the hardware went. First thing it says to do is lay it on the side to start assembling. You actually have to take that base off and then add some extenders, which makes it sit up taller so that your dust collection drum will fit under there. All of this was pretty straightforward for the most part. It recommends 2 people to set it back upright, but I don't have 2 people. I have me. It's pretty heavy. Ooh, heavy. Rolls, rolls. I knew it was gonna roll. So I jammed some wedges in there on those wheels that you can't lock to try to keep them from rolling when I stand this up. Next thing you had to do is just install that HEPA filter in there. It was really easy, just snap right in, and then that's the clean out bucket there. When your filter gets dirty, you can just unsnap that and clean it out. On the dust drum, I did add silicone to the joints to help make it a little more airtight. I got it put together, and it took about 6 hours. And what's sad about that is this drum where the dust collection, where the dust actually collects, is what took the longest. About 16 or 18 tiny bolts with tiny nuts that attach all of this or assembles this whole barrel together. The sides wasn't bad, but when you put the bottom on, boy, were they a... It's actually not as loud as I thought it would be. Of course, it's going to make noise. You know, it's pulling a lot of air through here. It's also got this electric motor that's spinning. I like that I can turn it off and on right here. A lot of what helps the sound, it's got these egg crate insulation all around the inside, and that helps dampen that sound. The number one reason I wanted the Flux 1 dust collector was because it had a HEPA filter. There are a lot of other things I love about it, but that's the main reason I wanted it. So the way this works is you're pulling dust off of the tool you're using, planers, saws, jointers, things like that. Comes into the cyclone's spinning, it separates the heavy stuff out. The heavy dust or chips fall down into the bucket, while the lighter stuff, the stuff you can't see, and the real fine dust gets pushed back to the HEPA filter, where that air gets filtered before it gets released back into the atmosphere. The number one convenience on the dust collector are these wheels. This thing rolls around super easy. It is really heavy, as you saw when I picked it up off the floor, but it rolls around one-handed. It just moves very easy. The casters are nice. There are also 2 lockable casters on there, so you can lock this thing down if you don't want it to move. Another great thing about this dust collector is how easy it is to empty and move this dust bucket out of the way. This arm drops it back down to the floor, and then it just rolls out of there. You can take this out and empty it. It uses bags, or you can just use this. There's a couple of pieces you wouldn't put on, like this reverse suction, which keeps the bag from being sucked up in there. And if you wanted to use it without a bag, you could certainly do that. You just roll it back in place, and then this arm lifts it back up in there, and it actually gets sealed right there. You can see there has this nice heavy-duty seal. The bag also helps with the seal if you're using the bag. Locked into place, and all that dust is going to get collected. Another great feature that this dust collector has is 110 volt. So you can just use 110 power. You don't have to run 220 in your shop if you don't have that. I had one 220 outlet, and I was gonna have to run another, and I didn't want to have to do that, so I'm glad that this was 110. Now it can be run as 220. You can set it up as 220. I wish they would just include 110. I had to go buy this plug to put on there, and it's just a minor inconvenience. I think it would be just easier if that was already installed. And then if you wanted to switch it over to 220, then you would go buy the 220 plug. Or just from the factory, you could choose 220 or 110. It was shipped that way. That'd be much easier. A couple of really cool features the P-Flux has is that when the filter gets full or when it's clogged up too much, the light will come on and let you know that it needs to be cleaned. And what's great about that is you can actually just clean that filter with compressed air from your air compressor. Just spray that in there. It'll fall down into this bottom piece and you can just dump it. Also, when the drum is full, that indicator light will come on and let you know that you need to empty the drum. There's an on switch there. You just push that button, it comes on. Push that button, it goes off. Or there's an included remote with an on and off button and a reset button as well. Another really cool feature, as you can see here, is this dust collection window, or this dust window to kind of let you see what's going on in here, make sure everything's working properly. You see that dust spinning right there through those windows, you know that everything's doing what it's supposed to. Also on the drum, if you don't use the bag, it's a lot easier to see. But if you are using the bag, it's a little harder to see. But look there on the drum, there's this collection window there that you can kind of visually see when the drum is getting full. This is a 1.5 horsepower on top. The specs say it's drawing 18.8 amps, so you're going to need at least a 20 amp breaker to run it. And then it says in the specs 1300 give or take CFM nominal, so that's right here that is pulling 1300. Now what you get depending on the type of hoses you're using, things like that, I'm using a corrugated hose, so I'm losing quite a bit of suction pressure. I know that, but it helps me move things around the shop and it's working extremely well for me. The collection drum capacity is about 25 gallons. It'll hold quite a bit of dust. I was actually, you can see here, I filled it up building my latest farmhouse coffee table that I made, but that was using planers and jointers, table saws, and that's one of the things I use this for, one tool at a time. I don't have it set up to pull 2 or 3 tools at a time. I'm one person, so I'm only going to be using one tool at a time. Ideally, when you set this up in your shop, you'd want this part facing you so you can see if the HEPA filter is clogged or if you need to empty your drum. But you can face it the other way. These access doors are on both sides of the HEPA filter. As a bonus, I don't know why, but there's quite a bit of space left right there. You could store something else on there. I actually keep my oscillating spindle sander right there. The P-Flux comes with this Y. This is a 6-inch port, and then there's a Y for 2 4-inch ports. If you wanted to leave it connected to something, you could do that and then have a flex hose or connected to 2 tools and leave it like that, however you wanted to set it up for your shop. As far as performance, I had this hooked up to my DeWalt 735, which I've always had problems with dust collection with a shop vac or even one of those small bucket separators. This allowed me to plane a lot of wood. I was able to plane all the walnut as well as all of the pine and everything I used for that last project without having to stop and empty this can. Now at the end of all the planing, I did have to go empty it, but it was after a ton of planing. You may have seen this Laguna CleanAir in the background of a lot of my videos of the last several months. I got this, I think, back in July, and I have used it a lot. I have used this several hours a day for a lot of days, especially when running the CNC or anything else that creates a lot of dust. Sanding, table saw, jointer, planer, any of that stuff. This thing actually filters the air, and the main reason I bought it, one was for my lungs, but for two, I didn't want to clog up my air conditioning system, which is my mini split. So that's why I have it setting up on this shelf. It can be mounted to the ceiling if you so choose, and the hardware to do that comes with it. This also has a remote control or manual buttons if you have it somewhere where you can reach it. So it has a timer that you can set. You turn it on, set the timer, and it'll go off by itself. Half hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, and 4 hours. It also has 3 speeds, low, medium, and high, and then there's a power indicator light. This is also 110 volt. It comes on in the low setting, and the air comes this way. It pulls in from the back and comes out through the front. On the side that I have facing out towards me, there's actually kind of a gauge. It shows you when you need to change or clean the filter. And then also in the front, you see this little flap right there actually gives you a visual indication that air is moving. This filter on the back is actually ready to be cleaned. It's washable. I can just take this out, take it inside, and rinse it, and then let it dry. It pops right out. This filter inside actually comes out and does the same thing. You can see how much fine dust this thing has saved from the air over the last couple of months. Check that out. I mean, that would be in my lungs, or at least in the air, if it hadn't have filtered that out. You can see how dirty that filter is, and I just took it outside with the leaf blower and blew it out. It actually is recommended that you can blow it out with compressed air, so leaf blower is good enough for me. So I blew it out outside, and now it's fairly clean, and these are replaceable, so you can order some more from Laguna. I've actually got one ordered now, and then this one is just washable. You can also replace this one, but with it being washable, you shouldn't have to replace it very often at all. Everything snaps back into place. Now we're ready to go again. The reason I put mine up that high, and the reason I like it about that high, is it's up high enough that, for one, it's pulling the air in. My theory is it's pulling the air in before it gets to the mini split, thereby filtering out that fine dust that'll clog it up. But also, it's pointing that way, so it pushes the air that way into that wall, which hopefully circulates everything around in a more efficient manner. I like this remote. You just push it from here and it comes on. And it's really not overly loud. It's pushing air, and you hear that resistance of the air through the filter, but it's really not that loud at all, especially when you have it on the low speed. Now I can actually feel, I got a bald head, so I can feel it a little better, but I can feel the air hitting the back of my head going that way. So I really think my theory works, that it's hitting the wall and basically just causing that circulation. This is about a 20 by 20 space, and it's about 10-foot ceilings. It's about the size that they say it can filter that air several times an hour. And since I've had the Laguna CleanAir filtration system, I have noticed, even before I got the dust collector, I have noticed a significant drop in the amount of fine dust that settles on everything. I know it filters out finer than that we can't even see, but it's a dramatic difference. So I'm very happy with the P-Flux system and the air filtration system from Laguna. I love the fact that it has a HEPA filter. I love the fact that that thing is filtering out the air and helps keep that fine dust out of the air. It's just an overall good system. The only thing I plan to do different is hard pipe this system in at some point so that I've got better suction overall. But for now, having the flex hose in here is extremely handy to me, and the fact that I can move that dust collector around if I needed to is just, it's key. For a small shop like this, I can be able to move that out of the way and put something else there and put the dust collector in another location without worrying about hard pipes and all that stuff and repiping. I think that's just one of the main benefits of this system. If you found this content valuable, click that subscribe button, click the bell icon next to it so you get notified of all the new content. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this system, or what system you're running in your shop. Let me know in the comments below. Hey, thank you for watching. If you want to see more tool reviews, click that box or that box to get you the big old virtual fist bump. Thank you for watching.